Everything in society is so rushed. From every goal, task, and objective, you have to accomplish it now or forget about it. Don't accomplish it at all. That's what we often hear. And since we're little, we've been trained on that way, with school providing such short amount of time to accomplish a lot of different tasks from our own parents saying, you better accomplish this now. You better have your life together by this specific time, or else get out of here. Or forget about it. Or there's gonna be a punishment, there's gonna be some consequences for that. And I'm all for accomplishing things within a certain amount of time. I support that. That's necessary. You need to be able to set goals and a specific amount of time, because if you don't give yourself a time limit, then you're probably gonna delay everything. But I feel like we've put this on every single thing within our lives, to the point to where as young people, we're like, oh my gosh, okay, I want to become like, people be like, oh, I want to become a YouTuber, and then be like, if this doesn't happen within a year, then I'm gonna give up and stop. Or not even a year. Some people be like, oh, if this doesn't happen within 6 months, if I don't blow up within 6 months, if I don't go viral within 6 months, then you know what? I'm gonna give up and stop. I'm gonna give up this YouTube thing. You know how many people do that? Because it's like you try and expect it all to happen in 6 months. You really think all the success and everything you need to do is gonna happen in 6 months? You realize how short 6 months is? 6 months. Really, really think about that. That is crazy. That is so crazy to think about. We live where people genuinely think it's okay that you have to accomplish things in such a short amount of time. People are like, oh, my career, if they don't accomplish it within a year, then it's a waste. Huh? A year? There are people who dedicate whole entire decades. There are people, it takes them a decade to get where they need to be. And people, it takes 5 years. It takes a lot of personal growth. It takes a lot of development. It takes a lot of time to get maturity and experience. But you want it all to happen in 1 year? Isn't that crazy? Like, think about it. Think about if you had a pilot, and a pilot was like, and you're supposed to fly with this pilot, and you're like, no, don't worry, I rushed through everything. Like, every single thing, like, I rushed through all the flight school and all that. I did all of it in 3 months. I did all my practice and stuff in 3 months. But then flight school is supposed to take a year. But they're like, oh, no, no, don't worry. I rushed through all of it. 3 months. I wanted to just get it done really fast, and I wanted to fly really fast. Now then you start questioning, is this safe? Is it safe to be with this person? Because you're like, well, what did they skip over? Did everything they do, is it at the highest quality it's supposed to? Because if a year is the standard, and then they somehow did it in 3 months, so what, like a fourth they took a fourth of the time? So then you start having all these questions in your mind, and you're like, wait a second, like what? See, that's the same exact thing that applies to life. If you have all these goals, if you want to do fulfill this career, if you want to do all these different things, and then it's like, here we are saying that if it doesn't happen in this short amount of period of time, then I'm gonna be upset. How many people do, like, you're like, oh God, if you don't allow this to happen, then you know what? Forget about it. I don't want it. Your plan is taking too long, and then you want to start rushing everything. No, you can't live a life like that. Good things do take time. They take time. And I'm not saying that God can't speed things up miraculously, and he does do that. Those are amazing times to happen. There are amazing things that happen within people's lives where, like, time will be reduced. But you can't live your life thinking every single thing is gonna happen that fast. When we start thinking that taking time is bad? I was listening to a Drew Gooden video the other day, and I was really inspired by the fact that he said, what made us think that, like, taking time is a bad thing on certain things? Like, people will be like, well, you're like, oh, it's gonna take you 5 years for this career to be amazing, and for you to achieve all the goals and all these things that you want. And people are like, 5 years, that's too long. And I'm guilty of this too, because since I've been little, I've always had the exact plan for my life, and I'm like, it has to happen fast. I want to grow up fast. I want to do all of these things in a specific short amount of time, and that's good in a way that of creating objectives and achieving goals. You know, for people that work like that, that is how I work. But it's not always the healthiest, because then you can also become demotivated when, I mean, not demotivated, unmotivated when, things are taking a bit longer than you had hoped. Like you, and Drew Gooden was really talking about. He's like, okay, what if it takes 5 years? Lots of things take 5 years. It takes, but think about it, 5 years in the grand scheme of things. You take 5 years to really work at it, and then you get all these things that you wanted. You achieve these goals that you wanted. You live a life that you wanted to for 5 years. In the grand scheme of things, you're like, well, yeah. Like if we could all see what's on the other side, then if we could see what's on the other side of that time, then we'd all be like, oh yeah, 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 I'll take it. I'll do it easily. But then a lot of people, they don't even care to give up before, like right before their blessing. They give up right before they're about to accomplish it all. Don't be that person. Because like think about it, how many times were you right there? There's a famous picture, and it's like there's a miner. There are these two miners. One is on like this floor above, and one's on this floor below. And then the miner above is there so close, almost has this diamond. Like, they've dug super far, and the diamond's right on the other side. But then they start walking back before they reach the diamond, and the diamond is humongous, it's right there. But they missed out on what they could have had because they didn't continue further, and they were like, oh, it's taking too long. But then the floor below, there's a miner, and he dug even further. But you know what? He didn't give up, and he found the diamond. He found a little small part, and you realize it's a whole entire big part. And as he's gonna continue digging, he's gonna find the rest of it in this humongous diamond and all this worth, and be rewarded with all that. You're rewarded for being diligent. You're rewarded for being willing to take time, being willing to, say what, this might take a little bit of time, but that is perfectly fine. With this YouTube channel, I know it's going pretty well. Like it's around like 53 subscribers at the time of recording this, and it's growing pretty steadily, and the watch time is amazing. But a lot of people would look at this channel and be like, you know what? This isn't growing fast enough. Let me go start over. Let me go start another channel and see like different ways I can keyword search and all these sort of things. You know how many people do that? They'll see something that's already growing, and then they'll leave it and be like, it's not growing fast enough to my liking. And I'm guilty of this too. Like there's sometimes like even before there was a little short point where I was like, why is this channel not growing as fast as I want? But I'm like, you know what? Think about like the people I'm helping. Think about the value that I'm giving. But yeah, it's so easy to get distracted and be like, you know what? Let me give up. Let me go switch over to something else that might work. And then you end up hopping around, hopping over to this, hopping over to this. And so you can't make your mind up. You keep switching things and are never consistent with anything. It's like the same thing in the gym with how people, like that might be you. You literally like keep switching routines and what you're supposed to be doing, and you're never consistent. So you have no consistency at all. You're just switching to see, oh, what's gonna help you accomplish it faster. In reality, you're hurting yourself because you have no straight consistency. Consistency is key. Taking time is key. Being able to have patience is key. When you show up consistently, and when you're patient, that's how you're gonna achieve goals. That's how you're gonna get things that you want in life. Stop thinking life is all about a rush. It's truly not. If you try and rush every single thing in life, you're gonna get something that's low quality. Don't be that pilot that took like a quarter of the amount of time that flight school was supposed to take. Because people are gonna be like, "What on earth? What did you do? How did you do that?" People like it's gonna feel wrong. You're gonna be like, "Oh, I could have learned a lot more. I could have been more mature for it." It's like think about it, how many things that if you had it all when you were little, like right when you said you wanted to, like how bad it would have been. Like there are lots of kids, it's like, oh, they want to drive when they're like 10. But you know very well a lot of kids should not drive at 10. A lot of kids should even be driving at 16, but much less 10. They're like, oh, I want to drive. And imagine if you're like, oh, you know what? You don't have to wait the time to mature. You don't have to wait the time, to get a bit more sense in your head. Here, son, just have the keys. Like, really? You think that would be smart? You think that would be wise? That's why it's so, so, so important to understand that some things you need time. Maybe God didn't give it to you because you need to become more mature to handle it. Maybe you're not in that relationship yet because God is building you up. He's building you like, wine gets better with time. Be like fine wine. Get better with time. Be fine with taking time. Embrace taking time. Still accomplish goals in a timely manner. I still believe that. And still function with the 12-week year, which I truly believe that. But understand that some things will just take a longer amount of time. Like this channel, if this channel takes 3 years before it's even profitable, before I even make a penny off of this channel, well, I'm perfectly fine with that because the value that I'm adding. And that's the thing. You're fine with things taking a bit more time when it aligns with purpose. You want to be fine with saying, oh, you know what? It's all right. It takes a bit of time. Let that let that goal align with your purpose. Let that goal align with your purpose. Let everything that you're trying to achieve, let it align with your purpose. Because then you're like, oh, it might take some time, but at least I'm adding value into this world. At least someone else is benefiting. At least I'm growing into the person that I want to become. That's how you become fine with time. That's how I'm fine with time. Because I'm like, okay, at least I'm working towards purpose. I'm working to something greater than myself. And that's perfectly fine if it takes that amount of time. Embrace it. Embrace the time. Be just live a life of not having to rush, of having to just accept that things take time. Accept that everything you want to be is not going to happen within a year, probably not within 5 years, and for good reason too. That's how you're truly going to get the best things. Life is truly like fine wine in some cases. Some things, they just get better with time and maturity and experience. That's how it gets better. So embrace it. Things don't always have to be so fast. So if you want to watch a video though on how to achieve your goals in 12 weeks, watch this video right here. In this video, I break down exactly how to achieve your whole entire goals and to think differently using a system of the 12-week year and truly accomplish so much. That's what I do. Accomplish so many things in a short amount of time, which, might sound like, oh, why are you saying the opposite of that? Opposite of what you just gave a whole video on. But no, still accomplish things in a timely manner. It's just that some things, are just take more time. And then others, you just gotta lock in, gotta pick up the pace. So yeah, watch this video right here. That is all.